Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen and welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday at 4:30 p.m. to review the weekend's action in boxing, of course. And I'll let you in on a little secret. This is actually take 3 of the vlog this week. The first one, I had an issue with the flash being on my camera. I had it on at the weekend because my son and I went to the Enchanted Dockyard in Chatham. Bit of a free plug there. I'm not sure anyone will take me up on it though. And I had to put the flash on because it was all, Halloween themed. And then the second one was all going well, I thought. And then I got to the end and realised the camera had gone off. And why had it gone off? Because when someone calls you on WhatsApp or on a normal call, it cuts it off. So thanks, Ben Davison. Yeah, name drop, but also a criticism for calling me at just the wrong time. Got history for that. But anyway, let's get back on message, if you like. And no other fight or event to talk about than the O2 on Saturday night, where we saw a fight that on paper ticked all the boxes. 2 unbeaten world champions unifying their titles for prestige, glory, and also the Muhammad Ali trophy that goes to the winner of the World Boxing Super Series tournament that was being decided at the O2. Not only did it tick all the boxes on paper, my God, did it deliver in the ring. Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis left it all there. They put their heart and soul into a battle that saw both bruised, bloodied, tired at different times, hurt at different times. It wasn't Walled Getty. They weren't trading continuously for 12 rounds, but it was a bit more like Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley 1. It's a real high-level chess match, but with sufficient exchanges to keep you constantly entertained. The way they kept changing their strategies and their looks to one-up the other, and then it a to and fro, and they changed their one of them would go forward, then go back, and then try and get on the inside, then fight from distance, and you couldn't take your eyes off it. It was absolutely compelling and fought at a really high level. You could appreciate, if you were kind of a hardcore fan, you could appreciate the little nuances. If you were a casual fan, it was just incredibly exciting and tense all the way through. In the end, Taylor came out on top with a decision I felt could easily have gone either way. I had it a draw, 6 rounds apiece, which matched the card of Benoit Roussel, one of the 3 judges. The other 2 had Taylor ahead, so he took the decision and the Ali trophy. But really, there are no losers in the fight. I know it's a cliche, but Prograis did incredibly well. I think the main difference in the fight, I guess, was that Taylor in the middle to late rounds came on strong, and I mean that literally. Really used his physical strength to his advantage in pushing Prograis back a bit more as Prograis tired. And just finding a little bit of extra room, whether using his shoulder or his elbow or just generally kind of wrestling Prograis back, just found that little bit of extra room to land his shots accurately on the inside. And I think that proved the proved the difference over the distance. I think Prograis found a second wind in the later rounds, in the championship rounds, but by then, for the judges at least, I think it was too late. But again, both have got great things to come. Prograis can come back. I don't think there's anyone else in the division that beats him. I include in that Jose Ramirez, who a lot of people would like to see Taylor fight for all the belts, and I'd like to see that too. We don't have enough UK undisputed champions in our history. So I'd like, especially in recent years, obviously with the splintered belts. So I'd like to see that. But I think that Prograis gave Taylor a harder fight than Ramirez will. I just think style-wise, he was more difficult for Taylor. Taylor banged up the next day, big cut on his face, but him and Prograis seemed best of friends the next day. Huge mutual respect there. No complaints about the decision either from the Prograis camp. And it's just a delight to see. The fight itself, the build-up was good, real competitive animals there. And then all friends again the next day. It's just a great advert for boxing. We haven't had loads this year, not just in terms of the fights. There's been a lot of bad news attached to boxing this year. This was a welcome antidote to it. It was a wonderful fight. And Sky Sports box office, generally, I don't work for Sky, so don't kind of take my word for it totally, but they usually have their fights for free, well, not free, but if you've got a Sky subscription with no extra fee, on demand, Sky on demand, by the Friday after the fight. So by this Friday, you should be able to watch it on Sky on demand or rewatch it if you've already seen it. It's definitely worth watching again. I'm sure I'll end up watching it again at some point. I could talk about this fight for hours, but these vlogs are generally kind of 7 to 8 minutes, and I need to round up the other main results on the bill. One of those was the battle of veteran British heavyweights looking to crack, have one last crack, if you like, at the world scene in Derek Chisora and David Price. Went the way of the Londoner, who, apart from one scary moment for him, I think it was in the end of the 3rd round, but I'd have to check, took a massive right uppercut from Price that shook him to his boots and caused him to do a bit of a semi-conscious tango, I think he called it, on the way back to his own corner at the end of the round. Apart from that, he pretty much dominated. Chisora went past Price's jab as if it wasn't there, and bullied him to the ropes and into the corners, switched well from body to head as he's renowned for doing, and was just completely on top by the time the towel had come in following the knockdown of Price. Steve Broughton, if he turns out to be the regular solution to the vacancy, if you like, in the Chisora corner, did nothing wrong on his first night in the job, but didn't really have a great deal to do. So kind of dominant was Chisora, and so composed as well in his attacks. He and manager David Hay said after the fight that they now want Alexander Usyk, former cruiserweight supremo, now plying his trade up at heavyweight, of course. I think style-wise, Usyk's all wrong for Chisora. But hey, what do I know? It's a fight they want. They clearly fancy it. And I'm not going to begrudge Derek Chisora, who's on a rich vein of form in this Indian summer of his career, from getting whoever he wants next. I'm sure it's a fight Usyk would relish too. Another battle of veterans saw Wales come out on top of Scotland as Lee Selby beat Ricky Burns. Both former world champions, of course. Burns, Scotland's only 3-weight world champion. Just took a while to get going in the fight. And I don't know if it's because he's not the fighter he once was, or if it's more because he'd been out the ring for nearly a year and his timing was off in the first kind of 6 rounds. And I think that was probably due to inactivity. Selby boxed beautifully at times though, don't take anything away from him. Looked the best he had in quite a while. And even though the commentators said after the fight, or the pundits, that Selby should perhaps consider moving down to super featherweight, he obviously did that big 2-division jump after his loss of the IBF featherweight title to Josh Warrington. Selby seems keen to stay at 135 pounds, and I think he can still make some noise there. He's relatively fresh. Burns, we'll have to wait to see what he decides to do. I'm not saying he should chuck in the towel, but having lost in recent times to Anthony Crolla, who retires himself, of course, next week, and Selby, it's hard to see if he can achieve any more than he already has. And for a fighter who's won world titles at 3 different weights and considered a huge overachiever in doing so, is he going to be satisfied with kind of rebuilding at a lower level? And not only that, I think to combat the inactivity that he suffered from against Selby, he needs to be out more often, which may mean fighting some lower level fights on some smaller shows. I don't know if at this stage of his career, and Burns has been a pro for nearly 20 years, I think. I don't know if he's willing to do that, but only he knows the answer. One other result I should mention before I go, Lawrence Okolie, former British and Commonwealth Cruiserweight champion, added the European title to his list of accolades by beating Yves Nagabu. Nagabu was unable really to get anything going in the fight, found Okolie an incredibly awkward opponent, as so many have in the past. Struggled to get past the long arms of the 6'5" Okolie, and once he was on the inside, got kind of tied up quite often. Okolie, I thought his holding was excessive from quite early in the fight. I thought he could have lost a point rather than just the 2 warnings he accrued. But if the referee's not on his case about it, I can't blame him for continuing to do it. It's effective and it sets up the shots he wants to set up while nullifying his opponent. The right hand that ended matters was beautiful, pinpoint accurate and incredibly powerful. There's no denying the power that Okolie possesses. He'll be looking forward to a world title in 2020. Now, a couple of questions for you guys for the comment section below. Firstly, what was your Prograis score? How did you have it, either in rounds or in points? Also, I'd like to know Okolie, Chisora, Selby, the 3 victors on the undercard on Saturday night. Sorry, Derek, it was the undercard. 3 victors, where should they go next? I know who they want, but who do you think they should fight? What's the sensible move? As for me, I'll be back next week with ReFLEXions, Monday 4:30, but I'll also be here Thursday with FlexPectations, 4:30 PM, as I preview the show featuring Crolla, which I've just mentioned, and Katie Taylor, but more importantly, the Canelo versus Kovalev light heavyweight mega fight. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you again on Thursday. So thanks very much for your time, and I will see you soon.